What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio. The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mako Rugby Roundup. I'm your host, Chris Butler, and as always, joined by my co-hosts, Les Edwards and Sean Davies, both with the colours on this week.
Oh,
well done, lads.
Mate. The Mako are on a roll, and Hugh's here, so we're supporters.
Our special guest is Mako player Hugh Renton. Good to have you here, mate.
Cheers, Chris. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome in. Let's jump right into it. This week we're going to be talking NPC, the Rugby World Cup, and we catch up with Hugh about his career so far and, of course, this season with the Mako. Before we do that, our venue sponsor is O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street. If you're looking for a place to talk rugby, enjoy some great company, O'Shedigan's is the spot to be. It's time for the Shed Chat and busy week.
Yeah, mate, we've had plenty on, eh? We got plenty of Rugby World Cup action cranking last week. Obviously, the result wasn't what everyone sort of anticipated or wanted, but no, we had a real good turnout Saturday morning at 7 a.m. or something like that. We had 40-odd in the bar and breakfasts were flowing, and unfortunately for us, around about half of that crowd were French. And look, they had a great morning. So it was good times, yeah. But yeah, a pretty tough week all around for Kiwi sport. It was the Warriors, the All Blacks, and Adesanya on the Sunday. We tended to drop the ball.
3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, he said it was like fighting an amateur. So, well, we'll see where he comes back from there.
Exactly, mate. But no, we're back into it this weekend for sure.
Yeah, and all the flags are up. But it's probably a couple of dead rubbers, really, isn't it? The Wars still get another crack. It's really do or die. Newcastle looked pretty good last week, didn't they? And of course the All Blacks. Well, who knows what's going on there, and we'll talk about it in more depth. But don't forget, you can catch all the games at O'Shedigan's on Bridge Street.
Will you be back with your breakfast?
We are, mate. Yep, we're open from 6:30, and breakfasts are on, and the All Blacks, of course, we'll support them regardless. But yeah, no doubt they should do a wee bit better.
And this is a Sean recipe.
Yeah, so... mate, it's a special, chef special.
Is it?
Yeah, $20 big breakfast. Yep.
All the trimmings.
All the trimmings, mate. Nothing spared.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get into it. The Bunnings Warehouse NPC, and what a great win by the Tasman Mako, beating Taranaki 29-18.
Yeah, well done, Hugh. That was a top-notch performance. Their forwards were really out to thump our forwards, but Hugh, you'd know that, but the Mako pack really came out on top in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, I just think led well by Quinn Strange. We just sort of rolled up our sleeves and got to work. As you said, the Naki full pack, they came out to stamp a mark, and we just had to carry hard, clean hard, and do that repetitively. And I think it eventually fell in our favour. And when we were down on our line hard on defence, we managed to get a good couple of mental wins, stopping them getting over the line. So, yeah, that was a big victory for us, actually.
Yeah, we talked about it last week because Taranaki have been some traditional foes, especially in finals, and a tough side to beat. That they've had a bit of, recycling and rebuilding over the years, and they've come into some good form this season. And we're talking about what a tough match it was going to be. And then on top of that, you get the news that Ethan's off to the World Cup. So,
well, that was almost a real boost for us because we were just so stoked for Ethan. Obviously, he's had a pretty tough run of injuries this year, and he's been great the couple of weeks that he's been in with the Mako. Just the energy he brings at training and passion for the game and just being around the lads. So we just wanted to go out there and put in a great performance. And we knew we had to lift without him being there. The boys responded well.
Didn't they just?
Yeah, the back row was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yourself, Anton Signer, an enormous game from him. But I'm pleased you mentioned Quinn Strange because I thought he was a real leader in that game. He never stopped taking it to them. And I like the way he talked to the referee in this one. He made sure that he kept in the referee's ear. And, it was a great performance. And then that allowed, of course, the back line of, and especially Levi Amur and Timothy Tavanawai to again do what they do. A really interesting thing was I went there and I was a guest of the Taranaki Union in their suite. And they had the Taranaki coach come in and talk about 20 minutes before the game starts to their sponsors and members, which, is interesting because I don't think many coaches would do that. He clearly felt confident enough to leave it to his assistants and whatnot. And he talked about the game plan. And the game plan was to be stop the direct threats of the Mako, which obviously are people like Anton, straight running, Levi, straight running, Alex Nankivell, and Timothy Tavatava-Nawai, and then allow their attack to do the business. I think it was interesting because they couldn't do it. No, they didn't stop those direct threats. They had a really good go at it, but in the end, Levi...
Too strong.
They did score a great try from their own attack, a beautiful try, but that was it really. But an interesting insight to have a head coach talk to you 20 minutes before the game.
Feeling pretty happy in the camp at the moment. The Northland game and then the Wellington game, that was a bit of a hard patch, and then there was a bounce back against North Harbour, which was pretty close, but then an absolute trouncing of Manawatu. And so it was, I guess, last week they were talking about this was going to be a test to see where things were at against Taranaki, because a very strong side. And you came through with the goods, so it's almost like the flow's back.
Yeah, well, it's really one game at a time. I know it's kind of cliche, but it is, and it had to be. Excuse me. That Manawatu game, we didn't know what they were going to bring at us. They at the end of the storm week have the potential to tip up some big teams. Tipped up Auckland just on the Wednesday before, so we had to be right on and dialed in with our game plan to execute there. And although it was a blowout in the score, like, it was pretty close in the first 5-10 minutes, and we managed to set the momentum and then play off that, which was a big one. And then the Taranaki presented a different game plan completely. They ran a 2-4-2, 4 attackers in the middle and their forwards pod, and then on their edges they were really efficient at just their short passing game, with one runner and then a down runner and the guys at the back. And their backs sort of roving and smoking around the open side, which is quite hard for defenses to defend, and tested us. But I'm just stoked the boys really fronted up and did their homework that week, and came away with that win. And then even this week, I know we're jumping ahead a bit, but Counties, they beat Canterbury. Wednesday,
I was just going to bring that up. I was going to say, looking at the next game, Counties Mako, and I heard it on the radio this morning with the last minute kick to win the game against Canterbury. Yeah. So, there has been some upsets in this season, hasn't there? Yeah,
there's so many quality players spread across all the teams, to be honest. And looking at Counties, like they have, Hoskins and Nana Saturu playing, and a few quality players that can really light teams up. So look, those results can happen.
Yeah, well, Gray Cornelius was talking about that, and basically, the Northland aberration was about the top 2 inches, just not having the right mindset, and as you say, every game is a new game, and you've just got to get that correct, the attitude correct, and the work rate.
Yeah, there's the attitude, mindset. I think the work rate, skill set, and then the general structures, all in. You have to have that percentage right on. If you're a couple % off, things can go astray pretty quickly. And momentum's a funny thing in sport, and environment being the weather. Look at that Northland game. They had a lot of momentum. It was hard for us to get on the attack again and get in front of their attackers. And then, the weather presented with the slippery ball. Mistakes get amplified, and the results can blow out. And look, I know there's lots of traditional teams that are meant to be favourites, but NPC is pretty interesting like that. Anything can happen.
It is in Blenheim, though, at Lansdowne Park. Good support over there. So not too sure what the weather's doing this weekend. Does anyone check that? So it should be a reasonably dry track. So that would favour us, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of, like you said, the NPC. Each team present completely different challenges. And from one week to the next, you've sort of got to adjust quite quickly, I suppose, especially in the way the competition's laid out. And with counties this week in Blenheim, again, it could easily be a cracker, high scoring game, and two really good attacking teams going at it. And
the squad in reasonable shape. No major injuries from last week.
Yeah, I think everyone's pretty good. There's always a few dings and not, but no, everyone's pretty good. And last home game in the regular season for us. Yeah. So not to be taken lightly. We're undefeated at home this year. So yeah, would like that to continue.
And that's a flag in the ground that you set for every home game. You want to come away with a victory in front of the local fans.
Oh, it's every game you want to win, but it's special at home in front of fans and you know the crowd support behind you. And we've got a great support in Blenheim and here in Nelson. So for sure, we've had a good run over in Blenheim actually with Auckland game and the likes and pre-season there. So for sure, we want to put the flag in the sand and get another one.
Yep.
The number 10 stocks are starting to come back, we hear, but still no word on Mitch Hunt. Do we know any developments on that?
Yeah, I think he's progressing nicely. It's kind of a linear recovery for him. So each week he gets a bit better and a bit stronger. Where that finish line is for him to get on the field, not sure personally, but he's in good spirits. He's doing so much work behind the scenes, preparing our backs, what the opposition's going to bring, what they can do on attack, what we can do on attack. Sorry, to execute and yeah, he's great for the team. So he'll be itching to get on the field, no doubt.
Get amongst that. We've got interestingly the counties supporters must be fairly active as well. We had a booking for 12 counties supporters arriving here Saturday night, planning to spend the night here and then head to Blenheim for the game on Sunday. So they sound like they're planning a fairly rowdy evening and then across the hill to support their crew.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they plan an away game, and what better place to come than the top of the south?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, we wish the team all the best of luck for Blenheim. And are you heading over the hill, Les?
Oh, no, I think I'm going to be watching it here at O'Shedigan's. And
on the big screen?
Yeah, I think so. Long way to go, Blenheim. And I had my away game.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
He's on a curfew now.
All right, good stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about the game later in the podcast, but let's go on to the Rugby World Cup. And I haven't done it for a while. Made the effort to get out of bed early and get a breakfast going. And we the days of getting up at 3 a.m. Remember the old tests, and you'd make a big effort, and the whole family would get up. Well, we did that on Saturday morning. Don't know why, but we did do it. We did do it.
So 7 o'clock's very early for you, Chris.
Well, yeah, that's right. So yes, okay. Well, let's talk about the game. I just don't really know how much I can read into it. It's a bit like the South African game. I don't know if it's a game or whether or not we, particularly are not playing that well. So, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's hard to know. And when Fozzie said leading into the game, when he's mentioning, this is, remember this game doesn't really matter, and
don't panic.
Maybe not in those words, but whether it's a mindset thing at that point or whether it's something they've talked about in house and said, we'll do what we can and see what the result is, but concentrate on what we've got to achieve down the track. Look, I don't think we ever want to lose, so that's not really the way it works. But yeah, as to what actually happened, I can't.
It's a bit either dumbfounding to me.
Did you watch it? And what was your take on it?
Yeah, of course. Watched and supported. I think knowing the boys and a few of the coaches, they'd never go out to not put in their best performance. So I think that's they're always going to go out to win and put it all out there. Just think the French, it was pretty close at halftime, and the French just got a good couple of breaks in the second half, and sometimes footy goes that way, and it's hard to stop. But look, I'd say they'll be brewing a lot of passion and detail, and really excited about the rest of the World Cup because they want to win. It's no hiding the fact.
Okay, so we're not if we're going down that line when it's saying it's not gamingship or not showing all your cards, and they're going out there to win every game and play your hardest, then what about the tactics? Because,
okay, that's the real debate.
Because that's my question. My question is, if that's the way we're going to play, man alive, we've got some problems, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we won that game for 50 minutes.
Yes.
And in 30 minutes conceded 18 points.
Yeah.
And to my way of thinking, there seems to be a fair bit of aimless kicking and force back, whereas I believe you can't die wondering in a World Cup, and you got to keep the ball in hand and have a real crack. And the kicking game became very, very annoying to watch in that last 30.
I think I read 27 minutes ball and play time across the entire game. Yeah. So it was a lot of and I understand that maybe tactically we were trying to sort of assert some territory dominance and that kind of thing, but maybe there's an opportunity to change the tactics when something's not working. I'm not sure.
I mean, Beauden Barrett was questioned by the TVNZ reporter in aftermatch, and in my mind, he looked a bit stunned by the question. It said, "What about the aimless kicking?" And he sort of had to stop and think for a little while. And then his answer was, well, when you're under pressure like that, sometimes you've just got to make some decisions, and sometimes kicking is the easiest thing to do. And if that was our game plan, if we were truly under pressure, if we were truly playing that game, then, okay, I understand it. We were totally outdone. My big question mark is, are we really showing our cards? Because how can we go from what we did in the Super Championship to what we have done against South Africa and against France if we're playing 100%? I'm a bit dumbfounded.
Are you leading us to your idea of Damien McKenzie at fullback?
No. If I was going to do after that match, if we're saying that's our tactics and that's the way we're going to play, and we need to change things up, we have to have Will Jordan at 15. We have to have Leicester on one wing, and we have to have Mark on Talia, is it? Talia on the other wing.
And bring Bodie on with 20 minutes to go.
Or Damien McKenzie, because at the moment, Damien, every time Beauden Barrett gets the ball, he's had a great career, he tries to kick it. If we're going to bring on impact, maybe that's where we bring on Damien McKenzie, So, but this is what I'm saying.
I like it, Chris.
Well, I'm saying, you're saying the boys go out there and they play to win, and I believe that. I believe that. But are they just saying, well, at this stage, this is going to be out, or maybe it's the coaching staff just saying, well, if you get in that position, let's just go for territory, let's put the upper and unders. But when it comes to the crunch match, that quarterfinal, is that really what we're going to do?
By the quarterfinal, he's going to have all the cattle back, right? There are 4 quality players missing out of the forward pack at the moment. And the forward pack was really under pressure throughout that game against France. Seriously, the front row was under the pump.
Yeah.
So, I just think that the front row and the locks need to make sure we're really cohesive. You get Sam Cane back with being the glue that he can be. Frizzell, charging back, or Blackadder at 6. There is an opportunity to improve the forward pack, but at the end of the day, I just think aimless kicking for 30 minutes and the kicks getting shorter and shorter in their power is not the way to play a World Cup, because you don't want to die wondering come quarterfinal time.
And Hugh, you've seen this in the Mako season where we've had a couple of tough games, and especially that Northland game. Is it that you don't really need to change the tactics so much, and that some of that kicking was because of the fact they were under pressure? And is it just perhaps some of the small things like the breakdown, the scrum, those kinds of things that can turn a game around?
Yeah, I think firstly you got to look at the platform, and that's the set piece to the carry and the clean. Are you doing that right? Did we get that completely right against France as the All Black team? Not so sure. And that's been the thing for the Mako. I can speak for us. Like, we've had to really nail our scrum, really nail our line out, win the ball is a big thing, get some front foot ball, actually get some lightning quick ball, some good cleans, and then you can play on top. And it's far easier to play rugby on top going forward, kicking going forward, than it is if your platform's not there. So I think the first thing probably for any team is to get that platform going, and that's to dial it right back to your lift, jump, throw quality, to the scrum, to the carry, getting shoulders through and the clean, removing threats. That does open up a lot. Same on defense. It's identifying who's going to catch the ball and getting 2 tacklers in to stop his momentum. If you do that, you're going to start to get the ball rolling in your favour. And if the ball's rolling in your favour, attack looks better, kicks it easier. For sure. That's, I think.
And that probably that's a good summary, isn't it? Because that holds true to what we've been seeing. Our pack has made mistakes. Our set piece hasn't been that great. We've been put under pressure. The scrum's been put under pressure, and therefore the back line are under pressure. And when they have to make those decisions to kick, perhaps aren't executing, 100% with that. So that probably holds true. And I presume those small things are just working on them, hopefully. Well, I suppose Italy's the crunch, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So Namibia on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yep.
And then, the Italy game is the must-win now in pool play, and other results.
Interestingly, conversations around France miraculously losing to Italy by 50 or 60.
What? I did see that
conspiracy theories. Wow, that puts real pressure on us.
I see.
Get the All Blacks out at pool play.
Oh, I see. Yes, and look, Italy have been known to go close a couple of times. I don't know how they've been travelling so much in the Six Nations, but good coach, and they've been playing some not bad rugby. And on the day, we'd have to be on our game surely in order to get across the line there. And who knows, they may tip up France.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's obviously the game that the boys will be focusing on next. Yeah. They've got Namibia and Uruguay, I think, in the mix as well. But yeah, definitely that Italy game is the next important one.
So they've named the team for Namibia.
Yeah,
and Cam Roygaard gets a start. Damien McKenzie at 10, but they've rested Will Jordan. They haven't played him at fullback, so clearly that's not on their radar for this World Cup campaign.
Well, I don't know if he seemed to be had a brace on one leg, so I don't know whether he's got a slight niggle that they might be trying to iron out. So might be time to just give him a rest. Yeah. But anyway, be interesting. Anyway, early days, and if we look at the table so far. Group A, Italy and France actually leading the way at the moment. Early days, as I said. Ireland and South Africa, they did the job, didn't they? There was thoughts that maybe Scotland could rise to the occasion, but they, but South Africa did the job there. Australia and Wales actually coming through because we thought maybe Fiji might be a bit of a tip up there.
Did you see that game?
Yes, I did.
Incredible.
I'm just
incredible.
2 reasons why it's incredible. One was the refereeing, 19 penalties against Wales and especially towards the end on the line, defending their line. And then Rodrigo dropping the ball with the line wide open. So,
quite a few warnings Wales got on the line as well, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So there's a lot of controversy about that refereeing performance, and also just the fact that Semi Rodrigo
was open.
didn't complete the goal, which annoys me because I had tipped, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that Australia-Georgia game wasn't a blowout. Georgia did quite well against Australia, didn't they? So
didn't bother watching that one.
No, but it wasn't like by 50 points. Okay. It was
what
actually
was it? 35-15 or
something like that, 35-15. So so that just shows that because there is always talk about those lower sides, why they're there and but. Every World Cup, hopefully, what you'll see is those teams just slowly starting to raise to the occasion because they get to play against those better sides and they learn where the standard is. So
there seems to be, and I read this term, unconscious bias against tier 2 countries. And I think I saw that in Wales versus Fiji. I really did.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
And the other one, Japan and England at the top so far in Pool D, but the other one was Argentina against England.
Yeah.
And we thought there would be a tip up there, but actually England came through, but it was all by the boot.
Yeah, and I don't know if Argentina, I think who's in their pool? Japan.
Yes, Japan.
I feel like
England.
Japan are really going to challenge Argentina.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't show a lot, and they were playing against 14 guys that pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, we talked last week that if you get a red card, you're more than likely going to lose the game.
And it was in the first quarter of an hour or something.
Oh, first 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, and the English tactics were just sensational. They just talk about field position, then taking advantage, but they took advantage through 3 drop goals and nailing every penalty kick. So
we haven't seen Tonga and Samoa yet, so it'd be interesting to see how they go. And congratulations to Chile. They had their first run in a World Cup, so that's great.
The first try as well.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah. You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup. It's our pleasure to welcome Tasman Mako 190 and Highlander back rower Hugh Renton to the podcast. It's great to have you on the show, mate. Nice to have you here. And you're Hawke's Bay born, a magpie, and you're going to, was it Lindisfarne College in Hastings, and getting your start on the NPC with the Magpies, playing 13 games over 2 seasons. You ended up being a head boy and playing first 15 rugby. Tell us about the early years and times at Lindisfarne.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Lindisfarne, I enjoyed Lindisfarne. It's a great school, not a massive rugby school or anything like that, but just all round, I think, pretty good man values, academics as well. And I definitely wanted to go more towards the sporting as most rugby players do. But my parents pushed the academic side, and I'm glad they did. It's helped me a lot. I enjoyed my time at Lindisfarne. I was boarding there, met some good mates, and had some good times. And yeah, although it wasn't a rugby school, we competed all right in the Central North Island competition. My first year there, we were the inaugural champions of that, actually. Played a lot against Francis Douglas. So, Barrett boys. Geordie was my year, and Duplessis Karifi. Played against them, and had some decent footy players come through. Mason Emerson, Tian Falcon, were all sort of my age group, and it was a good time. And led us into being contracted with Magpies, which I was grateful for.
Yeah, so a couple of years later, playing for the Hawke's Bay NPC team. So was that kind of the dream to play for the Black and Whites, for the Magpies?
Yeah, I think I wanted to follow my old man, Paul. Yeah, he was a Magpie. He played 44 games for them or something. So, I think naturally being there, wanted to emulate that and follow in his footsteps, which I was lucky and fortunate enough to do. But I think, when you get into professional rugby, you know that you can't always pick the one team or whatever like that, and things change and flow, and it's flowed now. And really enjoying being part of the Mako, and love it here.
What position did your dad play?
He's a Lucy too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so right, like 7-8.
Yeah, right. Oh, nice. Okay, and you also spent some time in the Hurricanes Super Rugby setup and got to play a game against the Cheetahs in 2017. So how was that experience?
Yeah, I think for me, I did spend a good amount of time injured at that young age. So actually just getting onto the field was massive, and then also doing it for the Hurricanes was special, because they did invest a bit of time and effort into me, and to be able to get on the field and have a go, was awesome. And the guys there helped me a lot, like Brad Shields, Artie Severs, Callum Gibbons, like all those guys there were just awesome for me growing up.
Yeah.
So, mate, in 2018, you headed to Canterbury to play. What triggered the move south?
I think no job.
Serious.
I think, at the end of 2017, contracts finished with Hurricanes and Magpies, and I hadn't been at university full time, and I wasn't sure completely what I wanted to do at uni. And two things really. I looked at what I wanted to do, and first thing was be world class at rugby. So I was, just tried to put all emotion aside. Where's the best place in the world, would you say, to be at rugby? And that was clearly Canterbury. So that was a tick there. And then the other thing was, what did I want to do outside of rugby? And I think business and people and things like that spurred an interest in markets and money and stuff. So accounting finance. I was like, okay, sweet. So I decided to go to university down there and play rugby, and started a Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting and Finance, and started playing club rugby for Christchurch Football Club, and went through there. But I originally was, when I was at school, going to go down to university there and enter the academy and do things, and then got an opportunity which was too good to ignore up in Magpies and Hurricanes, and I was injured at the time, serious injury, so it all kind of led me to stay local. And then when that finished, there's nothing holding back doing what I thought was right, and it was a great move.
Are you through that degree yet?
Yeah, I finished it a few years ago. Double major accounting, finance, and a minor in psych, which I was happy about.
Wow, good stuff.
Yes, man.
So a couple of years in the Crusaders outfit, was it? We hear a lot about the sort of environment that they bring. Was it everything you sort of thought it would be?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, just thinking about it now, like I was never signed or anything, but they do it well down there, just in terms of giving you an opportunity, I think, and getting you around to play rugby. I was never contracted there or anything with Canterbury or Crusaders. I was just short-term injury cover or whatever, but even the skill sessions they did for club players on like a Monday and a Wednesday in pre-season, everyone's pretty accessible around advice and opportunity. And so that's like just a massive thing, I think, for the whole culture. If everyone's open and helping each other, plus the standards real high. Like you look at the guys like Sam Whitelock, who's actually this week equaling Richie's 148 test record. See them operating day in, day out. It becomes pretty clear what the standard of top quality footy is.
Yeah, nice. So 2018, 2019, what 2019 were you injured? Was there a
No. See, you would have looked at my rugby stats. You played like 4 games for Canterbury in 2018, and then 2019. So both those years, the contracts at Canterbury were fully taken up. In 2018, Luke Whitelock played for the All Blacks. 2019, he didn't make the World Cup, so he came back and he was like never injured. and there was just no injuries in 2019 in that pack, and it was stacked of loose forward talent. So didn't get any opportunity to play. I was with them all season, training and things like that. There just wasn't enough injuries to get a run on. Whereas 2018. I think there were a couple, so I managed to sneak a few games in there.
So you were mainly playing club rugby in 2019? So 2018, just turned up to Christchurch Football Club and played the whole season of club. Sort of trained a couple of times with Saders and then Canterbury at the back end of that year, and then 2019 did a bit of pre-season with Saders, and then sort of in and out and mainly club. And then, end of that season, had pre-season with Saders 2020 a couple of times, and then I was in for the whole season in 2020. That's when I met Andrew Goodwin. Right, and so it was Andrew who spotted you, perhaps, and enticed you to come to Tasman for the 2020 NPC?
Well, it was a combination. Sione Havili was there, and he was always prodding me to... He's you come up to Tassie, and there's always a bit of a buzz around the Tassie guys, and they're passionate about the group, but you don't know until you're in, right? And then, I was pretty determined just to try and make Canterbury, because that's the goal and stuff. And then sort of eventually just sort of talking with guys and things, there was no space at Canterbury again, and potentially there was a loose forward space in Nelson. And then, spoke to Goody, and he was like, "Oh, look, we usually keep that space for a local guy." And so I was like, "Sweet, like that's pretty end of that conversation." And then that day, Ethan Blackhead got injured.
Oh,
he did his knee at training,
right?
And so unfortunate for him. He did his knee, and then the next day, Goody was like, "Do you want a coffee?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And went and had a coffee with him, and then sort of just had a conversation and told me what it was about, and they could be interested. He just talked to Clark Dermody, who was Ford's coach, and then by the end of that conversation, I was going over to Canterbury because I had to catch up with Ruben Thorne and just wanted to sort of talk about if there were spaces or what was available. And at the end of that conversation, Goody was waiting at the door for piece of paper.
Oh, really? Was he?
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah, and it didn't take long. It was pretty obvious. Like I didn't have much chance, and this was a chance. And I think for like 14-week contract, $1,000 a week came up. And had a crack, and then went from there.
Yeah, well, you did come, and of course Clark Dermody and Shane Christie were your forwards coach. So I'm just wondering how much did they improve you as a player in terms of set piece and defence?
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time with Shane Christie, and like that, him as a person who's able to relate to a player. Like mentally get into their head and really drive out excellence and the reasons why they play. There's no one better than him, to be honest. And he was massive for me that year, as well as the boys who were there, like Sione, Shannon was around, and Ethan, helping you do the skill set. But Shane was great in terms of just really detailing down into almost a psychology of why you're playing and why we do things and what we want to do and what you're good at and how you can make that better. And the likes of Derms to Goody, I think what made them better than coaches I've ever had was their ability to for you to see where you could get to, and then for them to show you the way to get there. And so they really lifted your sights and your inspiration to be like, shit, I can play rugby and I can get to X level. And they provided the roadmap to get there. And then you went along and do that. So I don't know if they talked about how they would coach players or anything like that, but they definitely instilled confidence in guys and said made them believe that they can be a player of this caliber, and then they showed them the way. And I think that's something Tassie does so well, whether you're at the top of your game or guys coming through like I was. Everyone was getting better and everyone was playing and everyone was doing great. And that 2020 year, completely different to 2019 when there was a team full of superstars. Sure, we had a couple of superstars, but a good bunch of us hadn't played Super Rugby or weren't sort of around that, and we won. So
yeah.
So you had quality coaching, but you also off the field you had a manager in that first year called Martin Burko. So I just want to talk about how Martin keeps a side on the straight and narrow, but having fun at the same time.
Yeah, well, you'd have to ask him how he manages that. So I don't know.
But he does it.
He does it. Yeah, he's one of the best managers I've ever had. I think when I think of Marty, I just think of like a good father that I can trust with anything. Anything you mean, like, and it's not even rugby I'm talking about stuff in your personal life or family or anything. You know, he's a guy that you'd call on. So for having a person like that in a manager's role who has access and ability and around that, he was fantastic at his role in terms of manager, but he is so good at just connecting with the guys and just being that good fella and that good guy. Amazing ability to connect and have fun, as you say, and get stuff done. Respect him a lot for that. And he always touches base whenever I see him or sends a message or something like that. So I see he's doing a great job with the Chiefs now, and who knows, he might be putting his hand up for the All Blacks management.
I do wonder
role.
about that, Hugh. I wonder, he hasn't told me, but I do wonder if he's going to put his hand up for the New Zealand Rugby All Blacks.
Because the current manager, this is his last gig, isn't it? So
we'll have to
you never know.
We'll have to message him, find out what he's up to.
Yeah,
I did ask him, and he said, "Oh no, I'm happy." But he is an amazing manager, and we've been very lucky with managers since. Stu Hunter did a good job of, keeping the camp happy, and now I understand Hugh Binion's. Everyone's different in their personality, but they've all done a good job. So it comes from the players loving being Mako, Sione, you mentioned cheerleading for us with you, and then it comes to the coaching and the management. It really is an amazing setup.
Yeah, it is. It's what they set up, and it's what the guys put in. And I think what people put into Nelson Tasman, Mako, Marlborough, is far more than what guys get paid. And I think that's what's special about the team is they invest everything into making this better together, and that's a big part of it.
You're well settled into the Tasman Mako now as a senior back rower, and your first season coincided with the Mako winning our second NPC premiership. So what's your memory of that game and that forward battle?
Yeah, I just remember walking down a few things I remember walking down the tunnel at the start of the game, and I just was looking across at Auckland, and we just knew like we had them. Like it wasn't going to be easy, but we just knew we were just so determined and focused, and just felt like they probably thought that we were just a bunch of no names, and they were going to be champs again, and we just went out there and dealt it to them, and it was tough, but I remember having guys like Mitch Hunt got injured early, got KO'd off an illegal tackle, which was tough. But Tim O'Malley stepped up, and then having Dave Havili there just leading the troops, and he's one determined guy, and him getting steals and the boys getting steals, and I think that whole year just built up a massive amount of their pride in each other and respect and basically love for the lads, and that was shown on that game. Like every hit, the boys were just putting it all out there. Every tackle, every turnover, guys were yelling and screaming and getting behind each other, and that energy and passion was just flowing, and it was hard to stop. And yeah, got the victory on Eden Park. And
so you're saying they didn't have their mindset and attitude, right? And you piled in and took it from them.
I just think we were so dialed in that game. Things weren't perfect, but we were right on to win, and we were ready to take that scalp. And we did get it.
I think Quinton McDonald was saying that pre-match, I think it might have been around the team talks or something. He might have walked past Auckland, or he just observed that they were just sort of laughing and they were relaxed, and in his mindset then I think he went back into your huddle and he said, "We got this, boys.
Yeah,
we're up for this. They're not taking us seriously." So so it's interesting that pre-game psych. Sometimes you read it wrong, but sometimes you get a feeling, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely can get a feeling. And as I said, that coupled with everything we'd been building and brewing internally, it was right for the taking.
So would have that been a highlight for you in your career?
Yeah, that was awesome. I think just for me as well, like just through coming through a couple of different teams, not sort of trying to make it in professional rugby and not having any opportunity really to stamp my mark consistently, and then coming up there and a few injuries, but then just the belief that I could do the job from the coaches and the guys around, and then as a team just winning was massive. Yeah, it was such a cool feeling. Actually, finishing on top and winning is awesome feeling.
2021, you made a third final, didn't quite make it across the line, and then you missed out on the playoffs last year. So what the expectation in the squad, now that bar is there, is the expectation we got to be playing finals footy?
Yeah, the expectation is excellence every game, every training, and win. Yep, 100%. Yep, and that's a big part of Tassie culture is we have fun, but we want to win too. So it's that balance between strive and push, but also relax and enjoy the ride, because it's a short ride too.
Yeah. So obviously, you're together a lot on the park, but also there's off the park and outside of training. So who are the names that you tend to hang out with? Yeah,
all the boys hang out a lot together, actually. It's pretty unique in the fact that not many people live here all year round, whether that because they're in Blenheim or super guys or guys that come in from different areas. And so when they're here, it's usually just the guys. Families usually away as well, because it's a short time. So the guys are always hanging out together, where it's like pizza pasta before a game, movie night, carver night, book club, swim sessions, pool sessions. So the guys are always hanging out together. I live with Noah Hotham, Paddy and Shun Miyake. So that's probably the guys
That's
I
an
see the
eclectic
most.
group.
It is. It's an interesting group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real mixed bag, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the book club interests me.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to get pregnant there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Nice. How about that?
so some readers amongst the crew.
Oh, it's probably not really a book club to me. It's not an excuse.
Just what they call it.
Yeah, just what they call
I
it.
love it.
Excuse for a few jokes and maybe a beer. But
I think that's
Timber
probably what.
Valley is a big leader of that.
Right. Yeah, I think probably quite a few book clubs. It's just an excuse to get together. And
Yeah.
You're going to start
have a
with
few.
here.
Yeah.
Good
Mate,
idea.
Yeah. Mate, 2021, the Highlanders came calling. You've now played 34 games for them. How much are you enjoying the setup in Dunedin with Clark Dermody?
Yeah, it's good. I think Super is a good level because All Blacks are playing all the time, so you can really test yourselves with them. So I love playing for the Highlanders. This year, he's set up the group. Like it's changed a lot really, but he's set it up really well. He's probably bringing in a similar way of Tassie down there, and just really making it a Highlanders environment, guys around and working with Billy Harmon. He's been great. Yeah.
Nice, mate. Yeah, quite a few other Makos in the mix down there as well.
Yeah.
Do you find yourselves gravitating towards each other socially or running book clubs down there as well? Or?
Yeah, I think probably the humour of the Mako guys is universal. So we go down there and we probably gravitate with the humour because there's a few interesting characters in the Tassie Mako group. So I think, that's definitely gravitated towards a bit more down there.
Yeah.
But everyone's pretty young and all of that down there, so we all hang out together as well. But probably that humour is understood more by Tassie Mako.
Couple of inside jokes.
yeah, a couple of inside jokes.
Playing alongside one of the best ever halfbacks in New Zealand. What's it like running alongside Aaron Smith?
Yeah, it's definitely a special memory. This year doing the old 8-9 combo with him. He's still like ahead of his game, I think.
Yeah.
Just his passing game. His vision is and all that is obviously world class, but his passing game is what sets it apart. You just run a line wherever you want, and he's going to hit you on the right angle, on the right timing, the right speed, everything. So you almost don't even think about catching it. You just focus about running the hole, and then you look up and the ball's already in your hands. He's that good. Like it's hard to fathom where sometimes halfbacks you're like, is he going to pass it a little bit high, a little bit low? You got to concentrate on it a little bit. For him, you just have to run your right line, and he's going to hit you. And also, he's got multiple runners too, and so there's guys that won't be in a hole, and there might be some guy that's half through a hole, and he sees it and hits you in a split second, which is insane.
Crazy,
and so
eh?
he's still, by far the best.
On the TV when you're watching, you can hear him. Can you forwards hear him?
Yeah, he's bloody annoying. His voice is so annoying, but it's a love hate because he's always right. Like he's always saying the right stuff. You just don't want him to be yelling at you. Yeah, and that's been a couple of times he's probably yelled at me. But he's a competitor. Like he competes on everything, and that's what makes him good as well. And he brings it out in myself and the boys around him. Just competes for everything. And that's what sport is, That's why we play, to compete, and he's one of the best competitors there's ever been.
So looking forward to next season. There's a few changes in management and players, obviously. Do you hear from any of the coaches or anything this time of year, or do they leave you to sort of concentrate on NPC first?
I think concentrate on NPC and that, but they keep in touch. I had a couple of messages with Dave Dillon and Derms through the season, but they generally just let you do NPC, be in that campaign and do that. They probably need a bit of more of a break too, because it gets pretty intense. Like, Jesus, being a coach at super level or something, that must be at any level professionally, it's all consuming. Like they just put a massive amounts of shifts in front of the laptop and decision making, deciding, and then they don't even go out there and play, So it must be bloody stressful. So yeah, not as much.
So finishing off, I did a bit of research about you, mate, and I read that you're a strong advocate for mental health, and that probably stems from some personal experience in terms of handling, anxiety, perhaps. So just wondering, without being morbid or digging too deep. What do you find works for you as a man who sometimes has to deal with mental health issues?
Well, I think, firstly, you just look at the fact of it, like, have we all had mental disruption in our life? I think everyone's probably had mental disruption in their life. I don't think you'd be living life pursuing goals and being the best for your family or whatever if you didn't have mental disruption. You're always pushing that curve. So we look at that, and there's going to be that. And for sure, I've had mental disruption. I think for a while there, like when I was young, I had a paralyzed arm, so I didn't play rugby for about 3 years, 17, 18, 19, till my second year out of school. So even looking at that, I didn't realize at the time, but anxiety around when I would get back playing, dreams and goals of being, an All Black, being the best rugby player in the world, et cetera, all those things. And then that can flow to not doing your day-to-day right, whether that's schoolwork, study, or anything like that. And then you might get more addicted to, I don't know, bad behaviors in terms of drinking or bad eating or diets or not getting your sleep right. And then that can factor in. So I think we all have mental disruption. And I think the biggest thing is recognizing the patterns in ourselves of what, disruption we have. I think that's probably been the big help for me, is trying to recognize that. And then from recognizing it, I think for me, it's a couple of things has helped greatly. For me, a long time, I was like, I want to be happy, or I want to be, things go my way or injury free or whatever. But the reality is you're not always going to have that. Like, there's going to be disruption, human disruption all the time. And so for me anyway, like, you might be injured a few times and you can't control that. Things you can't control, you might want to be happy all the time, but actually life's not about being happy all the time. And so it's just recognizing that as well, and being like, the reality is you're here where you are now, and where do you want to go, and then putting steps in place to go towards that. So whether for me, as a rugby player, I'm here as a player, I want to be there as a player. How do I get there? X, Y, Z. Okay, I can dwell on not being in a team or not being selected or anything like that, but that just causes more anxiety or more worry and more stress or whatever. Okay, that's a part of life. See that, recognize that, be in reality of where I am now. I'm this type of player. Where do I want to be here? What do I need to do? And things become pretty evident. And as you move forward through that, you might look up and be, oh, actually, I'm not too unhappy. I'm happy, or things are flowing, or whether it's a business or whatever, you want to be financially free and cash flow and et cetera here. But reality, business probably doesn't operate like that all the time. And so if you get stuck in the future, you can really suffer in the reality. So you just go back to reality and look, okay, where am I now? Okay, here I am right here. Where do I want to go? Okay, do X, Y, Z to get there. And then as you action those things, actions often lead to you feeling better because you're able to gain control of the situation, whether that's a stressful situation or a hard situation. If you're able to gain control through action, I think you're able to face it better and live up to that pressure and things, because we can all recognize that life will be hard, or things will be hard, or things won't go our way. But if we're moving forward with actionable steps, we tend to feel better about it. And that's probably been a big thing for me, really, personally, in my career, because rugby can be so fickle. Like we mentioned, I played for a couple of teams, and that team, my contracts were cut up. I had at the end. Sorry, I didn't get renewed contracts, and these teams didn't want me. And then this path was blocked by people being better than me or whatever, or this path and this path, and so constantly don't know. So I say to young people at the start of the season and stuff, because there's always going to be a group of guys that are like your main guys, or a group of guys that are in or out, or a group of guys for whatever reason can't be contracted or something. So I always sort of say to them at the start of the year, see where you are now and just accept, okay, you're not signed, you might not be playing at all. What do you want to do? You want to be playing, how do you get there? Okay, you got to be train really well. You got to have your fitness and everything in your health and sleep and food, have that dialed in, know the game plan really well, bring energy to the group and add value to the group in other ways, be a good person, help out your mates, make sure you learn the roles perfectly so you nail those things. So there's so many ways you can add value, right? And then through that, like, no one can predict the future, and that's one thing I always said. I learned that from loving investing or whatever. No one can predict the future in the markets. People can have all the algorithms and everything to say this is what's going to happen, but no one knows what's going to happen. At the end of the day, no one knows what's going to happen. And so you look, for example, I break my jaw round one, like no one, and then some guy plays and comes in. Someone gets injured, like Ethan Blackadder goes off the front, so someone's in playing, so things always happen. And if you've dwelled on the not being happy or not being where you want to be or anything like that, then when this time shows up and you haven't done things, that's when it becomes even worse. And so by taking control, you see reality of where you are, and then you do, okay, X, Y, Z to be where you want to be, and then it might show up or it might not, but you're in a better position and you move forward. And if we move forward, we feel better about ourselves. So that's something that's really helped me.
Outstanding insights.
Massive.
Yeah,
massive.
thank you. You awesome.
Yeah, and we want to wish you and the team all the very best against Counties Manukau on Sunday in Blenheim.
Yes.
So it'll be a great occasion, and also the Mako campaign, hopefully making it into the playoffs and going further. So good luck with that, and of course, hopefully knocking on the door for another successful season with the Highlanders next year.
Yeah, cheers. It's going to be exciting this campaign first. There's a good thing brewing with Tasman Mako. Good energy, coaching's right, boys are right on. So 1 week at a time.
Yep,
it's exciting.
Good stuff. We really appreciate you coming in and joining us on this podcast. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, gentlemen, that's another one in the can. And what's happening this weekend for you?
Mate, I'm expecting a full turnaround this week, so everyone's going to win. All the teams we support are going to win.
That's right. Yes, the Wars will do it against Newcastle. Well, hopefully we don't get tipped up by Namibia.
We won't get tipped up by them. Yeah, I told you off for something about France, but we'll forgive you for that. But we're up early Saturday for breakfast again here.
And, you're going to be getting the
Yeah, we're doing that, and then I'm actually playing a poker tournament here all day Saturday.
All day.
Got the regional finals on, mate.
So have you?
Very, very professional, and yes, that'll go through to the Warriors in the evening. So I probably won't leave this building to be.
Yeah. What time are the Warriors on?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Mate. Yeah, 6 o'clock Saturday. So.
It's not a bad life he leads.
Right.
I don't know how he gets away with it.
Looks good from the outside.
He hasn't got a suntan.
No. Unless you're...
Oh, look, I'll join him.
Yeah. I agree.
I won't do the poker.
You won't do the poker.
I'll do the All Blacks and the Wars, and I'll look forward to your breakfast.
Yeah, mate.
I joined you last week, so looking forward to that.
Perfect.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you to our listeners. Keep those comments coming in, and we'll talk to you again next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when? It's the Talk of Nelson. Talk Nelson Radio.